Hello, good morning, and welcome to our 11th session for the subject ICT 410. It's a rainy Thursday morning, but here we are again. So, our topic for this morning is about domain name systems. So our objectives are as follows: discuss number one, discuss the importance of name systems. Number two, value the importance of the domain name system. And number three, understand the basic concepts of domain name system. So, what is so-called DNS or the domain name system? So, DNS is the hierarchical and decentralized naming system used to identify computers, services, and other resources reachable through the internet or other internet protocol networks. So, the resource records contained in the DNS associated domain names with other forms of information. So these are the most commonly used to map human-friendly domain names to the numerical IP addresses computers needed to locate services and devices using the underlying network protocols. So but have been extended over time to perform many other functions as well. So the name system has been an essential component of the functionality of the internet since 1985. So for the function of your DNS, it often used analogy to explain DNS is that it serves as the phone book for the internet by translating human-friendly computer host names into IP addresses. So like for example, if you have a domain name www.example.com, so this translates to the addresses 93.184.216.34. So this example is your IBP4 DNS. So IBP4 has four dot components is separated by four-digit numbers. And the other one, which is your IBP6, has a much complicated numbering system. So like for example, for IBP6, we have 2606 colon 2800 colon 220 colon 1 colon 248, so on and so forth. So IPv6 differ from IPv4 just because the extended name for domains has become apparent to expanded to be expandable. So in this case, we use IPv6 theoretically for more associated with higher speed connection speeds. But then again, okay, for a while, guys. Okay, that was very quick. And then IPv6, as I've said, is the extended IP addressing for the DNS just because um, we need to expand the number of connections every day in the internet becomes increasingly um, expandable. So aduro nga computer network ang nagagamit ka internet every day. So not only guys with domains which uses or what I've said, the nodes that are using the DNS addressing is not only limited to your laptops and your personal computers, but also to your phones as well. So um, that is why, don't you know that in today, out of how many billion people in the world right now, uh, the phone there is a 2-to-1 ratio of your phone to the user. So meaning to say, every user on this planet has an average of two phones. So can you imagine the expansion of the IP of the DNS every day? So that that explains why the expansion for from IBP4 going into IPv6. So the DNS can quickly and transparently updated, allowing a service's location to network to change without affecting the end users who continue to use the same host names. So users take advantage of this when they use meaningful uniform resource locator or your URLs that is found in your browsers, and email addresses without having to know the computer actually locates the services. So going next to our next slide. So why do you think that we need to use DNS instead of common names, which is more practical? So you need to know domain names because of the domain name syntax and internationalization. So this means that a domain name consists of one or more parts, technically called labels, that are conventionally concatenated and delimited by dots, such as, for example, your example.com website. So the rightmost label conveys the top level domain. For example, the domain name www.example.com belongs to the top level domain name. And therefore, the hierarchy of domains descended from right to left. So each label to the left specifies a subdivision or a subdomain for the domain to the right. So like for example, the label example specifies the subdomain of a .com domain, and www is a subdomain of example.com. So these three of subdivisions may have up to 123 or 127 levels. So a label may contain 0 to 63 characters, and then the null label of length 0 is reserved for the root zone, and then the full domain name may not exceed the length of 253 characters in its textual representation in the internal binary representation of the DNS. So the maximum length requires 255 octets of storage, as it also stores the length of the name. Okay, so I know that you're familiar with this because you're configuring your IP address of your telco provider. So, okay, maybe you're using prepaid accounts or postpaid accounts, it doesn't matter. But DNS is often associated with your IP address for your service providers. So that brings us to the point of your activity number 21, which is your NetDom 121. So you're going to refer to your domain name system on your module and show the domain name of your telco or service provider. So using your DNS. Then you're going to produce the screenshot and copy paste it to any word processor. So take note. Okay, so shall we have demo later on? Okay, so for your activity number 20, wait a minute, guys. I think my slide has. So that's all about it. But anyway, on your module, why siguro matapos, no? Another topic will be your DNS tracing. And the DNS tracing is the function of this is to delegate your domain name for the internet DNS root servers down to the DNS and responsible for the domain. So this can be useful to find out if the domain name is delegated correctly. So this is DNS tracing. So just like a DNS server resolving a domain name, something's wrong with my slide. Maybe na-delete siya. Therefore, results may vary. I'll just going to read, guys. Therefore, results may vary if you do the same trace several times with a different DNS servers that have different data for the domain name. So, like for example, if your domain name registration has just been updated, and then the delegation hasn't reached all the parent level DNS servers, then you may enter your IP address. It's either IPv4 or IPv6. So you can go to your my computer. I think on your my computer, you just right click it and go to if I'm not mistaken sa inyong properties. Okay. Then afterwards, what you're going to do is to look for the DNS test query and then look for the root servers of the DNS lookup records. So these details your path taken to retrieve the authoritative DNS server details. So like for example, you're going to Just like finding out your DNS tracing, that is your activity number 22. So on your module, sige, para nga hindi I'll just show the module na lang siguro. So that you can see. So I think there's a problem with my, okay. So for DNS tracing, and then the results header contain general information about the test performed, while the data in the tree shown below contains details about the actual DNS trace. So like for example, for DNS tracing, that is your activity number 22. The results were resolving host www.example.com, and then the duration is 197 millisecond. The start time is 3/3/2020. This was done at that time. And then
Meron
the
nga daw.
time was 5:22 a.m. And then the address was found at the lower portion, and at the bottom portion, which is 93.184.216.34. So that is IPv4. And its counterpart, IPv6, which is found afterwards. Okay, so that's about your activity number 22. As you can see, your activity number 22 will be your DNS trace. What you're going to do is to trace a web portal, any web portal, and given its duration, you're going to give its duration, start time, and address. So just look for a DNS trace on Google. Okay, so shall we have a demo later on for this? Okay, so another is, okay, so let's continue. Okay, for your code of the day, so your code of the day is what convert URLs and domain names into IP addresses that computers can understand and use. Again, your code of the day um, will be what convert URLs and domain names into IP addresses that computers can understand and use. Okay, so add Astra Sapientia, per Sapientia to the stars through knowledge. So thank you guys for attending our lecture for this morning. And shall we have a demo for your activities number 21 and 22? So for 21, I think, okay. So you're going to go to your telco service provider using your DNS name. Now, that depends on what your, this depends on what is your DNS, DNS name, your service provider. So in this example, my service provider will be Globe Telecom, and my IPv4 will be 192 that 168.254.254. Okay, and then all you have to do is to display these numbers, and then click this. Then all you have to do in your browser, and then your portal will be displayed. So afterwards, you're going to produce a screenshot, and I copy paste it on your ano on Word, and then log in here with your username and password so that you can access it, and then produce a screenshot. So all you have to do is to click several settings, like for example, Wi-Fi basics. Of course, you don't display your password, your devices, or your tools, or your advanced settings. Then any of those, produce at least 3 to 5 screenshots, and that will be your activity number 21. Okay. So for your activity number 22, all you have to do is go to Google, and then you type DNS Trace. Then select from the online DNS tracing tools, like for example this one, and then look for the DNS name. So like for example, if the domain name is example.com, okay, so this one. Okay, so this one. And then, okay, so um, you look for, this one is the IPv4. So wala siya IPv6. Okay, so you're going to look for IPv4 and IPv6. Okay? Okay. So then afterwards, that produce a screenshot and that will be your activity number 22. Okay? So there are a lot of DNS tracing tools sa internet. All you have to do is to type DNS trace and you think about any domain name, maskin ano lang, or website, and then look for its trace. It's either IPv4 and IPv6, so or both. So mas manami kung both good. Okay, so I think that is all for the lesson for today. Do you have any questions, guys? Do you have any questions, reactions, violent reactions? So before we end, let me congratulate James Tom Paklibar. James, congratulations for your new post as president of the CSSC in our school.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so um, thank you, Gid. And sa iban pa nga nagdaog sa so within
Okay.
sa department.
Papasalamat, anay ako kananda, sir.
Yes, James. Oo.
Hello, guys. Good morning. Thank you so much, good guys, sa pagbulig, kag pagsuporta ka na akon. I love you all.
Okay, so may adigin buto nyo gid si James kag man-ano man abilidad na nga mag-serve sa eskwelahan.
Tom Dogon.
Daog, ah.
Okay.
Naya.
Dungog na to da kay ti sa CCS kita nga department. Okay. So salamat gid guys sa tanan ninyo nga nga suporta kay James kag sa pag-attend ninyo ka klase naton for this morning. So our next class, I will schedule our next class karon sa hindi ka at 2 p.m. I don't know if or sa gabi na lang siguro i-adjust ko lang 'yan para may maka-attend ang iba ninyo mga classmates. So thank you so much guys and good morning gid sa tanan.